Welcome to this little episode called Hit It Like a Drummer. And why is it called that? Well, that's mainly because it's about how to get your backbeat across when doing strumming patterns and how to develop strong strumming patterns that lets you be the sole accompaniment. If you're the only accompanying instrument to either to your own voice or to another singer or to another melodic instrument. This is one way of doing it. There are definitely other ways that are more subtle than this because this is not a subtle one. There are great, of course, different finger picking patterns and so on. But this is when you need to get some energy across in your rhythm playing, and you want to give you want to give the illusion of there being a drummer present and a bass player and possibly another chord instruments. So I'm going to show this today on an acoustic. I apply this to some level on electric guitar as well, and I might come into that sometime. But it's more clear on acoustic. When I do it on electric, I tend to narrow it down a bit. I don't do it quite as wide as you're going to see that I'm doing it now, as wide and as open. So what am I talking about, and why hit it like a drummer again? I took some drum lessons when I was about 12, 13 years old. I've always considered drums as my second instrument. Maybe bass also, but guitar first, possibly bass, and then drums as the instrument that I'm at least I can get something across on that instrument. And just playing drums has, I think, also helped me develop a rhythmical thinking when it comes to playing rhythmic strumming patterns. So let's dive into it, shall we then? What is it? What do I mean when I say hit it like a drummer? Well, I sort of think of the six strings on this acoustic guitar. If I want to play a strong rhythmic pattern, I sort of think of the bottom two strings. This can vary a little, but for this sake, the bottom two strings is your bass drum. The bottom or the top two strings is your snare drum. That's where you're going to hit your backbeat. And whatever is in between there, strings 3 and 4 or variations in between this, is sort of your hi-hat and also the ghost notes that you would play on the snare as a drummer. So if I do this with a muted, I mute the strings. So it will be bass drum here, snare drum, right? And then we add the little sprinkles in between, which would be the hi-hat pattern and possible ghost notes on the snare drum. And this is pretty much a basic version of this. This is almost as basic as it gets. It sort of emulates a drum pattern that would sound something like, something like that, right? If we add a little chord to it, let's say I play it on a variation of G and C with the G as a root. See, you get a very strong sense of backbeat, what you would get from the snare drum in a similar drum pattern. You get that from the top strings. So an essential part of this is, of course, that you have your subdivision of this rhythmic pattern in your right hand, right? So the smallest part I'm playing right now. So basically, if this is your quarter note rhythm, I'm basically, the smallest subdivision I'm doing is 16th notes. And that's, so for that reason, I really try to keep the 16th notes going in my hand. This is the movement of the right hand all the time, but I don't play it all the time. You know, I lift it off sometimes, and sometimes I accent it a bit and so on, accentuate it a bit, right? So it's. So you see, even when I'm doing mostly 8th notes, like what I was doing now, I still keep those 16th notes going in the right hand. Something like that, right? So if you want to, these are pretty much the basic elements of what I'm trying to get across today. To keep your subdivision going in your hand, and to think of the 6 strings on your guitar, or if you're playing the 12 string, your 12 strings, I guess. You know, just to think of it as bass notes, or bass drum, sorry. Top strings as your snare drum, and the in-between strings as hi-hat and ghost notes. So what about if you want to do that in in another rhythmic context? Say you want to do it like over a 12/8 ballad. Well, then it might go something like this. Something like that, you know. Say you want to go pretty advanced, like many moons ago, I used to play an acoustic cover version of Earth, Wind and Fire's version of the Beatles song "Got to Get You Into My Life," and you know that's quite a rhythmically advanced, a lot of 16th note ghost notes and so on. It's like the basic rhythmic feel of it. It's sort of like. So what I do there is similar thing, but it gets harder, of course, because that's sort of like a 16th note shuffle, and you get, and this doesn't really work just going up and down. So I try to do something like, so it's down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down. remember it. It's been like 25 years since I played it, probably, or almost, at least over 20 years. So that's pretty much it for today. Just try to get your right hand going. I will talk plenty more about this in coming episodes, about how to develop a strong rhythmic feel in your right hand. All right, have fun. Bye bye now.